I 28 work as a medical device development engineer at a major healthcare company, and honestly, I never thought I'd be in this situation. For context, I've been leading a groundbreaking project developing a new cardiac monitoring system that's revolutionizing how we track heart conditions in real time. The technology we've developed could potentially save thousands of lives by detecting cardiac abnormalities hours before a major event. Our team's work has been featured in several prominent medical journals, and we recently won a prestigious Industry Innovation Award. But while my professional life is thriving, my family situation is a different story entirely. That contrast has never been more apparent than it is now, as I face what's probably the biggest decision I've made regarding my family relationships. I'm the middle child in a family of 3 siblings. My older brother Alex, 32, is a cardiac surgeon at a prestigious hospital, the golden child who can do no wrong. My younger sister Sophia, 24, is the baby of the family, perpetually showered with attention and affection. Their birthdays are massive events every year. For Alex's last birthday, our parents rented out an entire upscale restaurant, invited over 100 guests, and spared no expense. When Sophia turned 16, they hired a live band and transformed our backyard into a festival ground. I still remember how they spent weeks planning every detail, from custom decorations to a professional photography team. Let me paint you a picture of what growing up was like. Every achievement of mine was overshadowed by my siblings' accomplishments. When I was 8, I distinctly remember sitting at the dinner table on my birthday, watching my family discuss Alex's soccer game as if it was just another day. 2 weeks earlier, they had thrown him this enormous superhero-themed party with a magician, custom costumes, and party favors that were better than any toy I owned. The entire neighborhood was there, kids running around in capes and masks, while my parents beamed with pride at their amazing firstborn. When I finally gathered the courage to ask if they'd forgotten my birthday, my mom barely looked up from her phone and said, "Oh, sorry honey, we've been so busy with Alex's tournament schedule and Sophia's dance recital. We'll make it up to you next year." She then went back to showing everyone pictures from Alex's party on her phone. I remember sitting there, staring at my untouched dinner, feeling invisible in my own home. They never did make it up to me. Not that year, not any year. The pattern continued throughout my childhood. When I was 13, we were at a family dinner when the waitress asked if there were any birthdays coming up. My mom actually laughed and said, "Oh, just his, but we're not doing anything big. He's not really the type to need much." Everyone at the table chuckled like it was some harmless joke. I can still feel the humiliation burning in my chest when I think about that moment. Later that same year, they threw Sophia a half-birthday celebration because she was sad about having a summer birthday when school was out. The disparity wasn't just about birthdays. Throughout my childhood, every request I made was met with excuses, while my siblings got whatever they wanted. When I was 10, Alex asked for the latest gaming console. Our parents drove 3 hours to a different city just to get it, saying, "Nothing's too much trouble for our future doctor." A few months later, when I asked for a science kit from the local store, something I wanted to use for the school science fair, my mom dismissed it saying, "That's too expensive right now." The next week, they bought Sophia an iPhone just because she mentioned wanting one in passing. These weren't isolated incidents. Every milestone in my life was treated as an afterthought. I graduated high school as valedictorian and got accepted into one of the top engineering programs in the country. Most parents would be ecstatic, right? Mine barely acknowledged it. My dad just said, "That's nice," while looking at his phone, and my mom's only response was, "Well, engineering was your backup since you didn't try for medical school like Alex." That same month, Alex got into medical school, and they threw a party that looked like a wedding reception, hired caterers, live music, even had custom decorations made with "Future Dr. Alexander" printed on them. 2 years later, when Sophia graduated high school with average grades, they hired a professional photographer, created a tribute video, and gave her a brand new car as a graduation gift. My college graduation gift? A gift card to Best Buy. Now, let me tell you about my current professional success, not to brag, but to show the stark contrast in how my family treats achievements. For the past 2 years, I've been leading a team of 15 engineers developing a revolutionary cardiac monitoring device. This isn't just another medical gadget, we're talking about technology that could fundamentally change how we prevent heart attacks. The device uses advanced AI algorithms to detect subtle cardiac abnormalities up to 24 hours before a major event, giving doctors crucial time to intervene. Our project has been featured in 3 major medical journals, and we recently won the Healthcare Innovation Award, one of the most prestigious recognitions in our industry. The irony? Our device could potentially help patients like the ones Alex treats, yet he's never shown any interest in understanding what I do. During the awards ceremony, my entire team's families were there, celebrating with champagne and taking proud photos. My parents? They didn't even respond to the invitation. During our weekly family video call last month, I tried to share the news about the award. I had barely started when my mom interrupted me mid-sentence to ask Alex about his latest surgery schedule. Then they spent 20 minutes cooing over Sophia's Instagram photos from her recent weekend trip to the beach. My achievement wasn't even acknowledged. When I tried bringing it up again, my dad just mumbled, "That's nice, son," before changing the subject to Alex's upcoming department head nomination. I've tried talking to them about this pattern multiple times over the years. Each attempt was met with dismissal or gaslighting. "You're just too sensitive," my mom would say, rolling her eyes. "We treat all our children equally," my dad would mumble, avoiding eye contact as usual. Alex would smirk and say, "Maybe if you did something actually important." While Sophia would sigh dramatically and call me an attention seeker. The thing is, I've built a successful life despite their neglect. I have a great career, wonderful friends, and an amazing girlfriend, Stephanie, 27F, who's been incredibly supportive throughout all of this. She's witnessed firsthand how my family's treatment affects me, even though I try to hide it. Last month, during a dinner with her family, her mom made a bigger deal about my birthday than my own family ever has. She baked my favorite cake, somehow remembered from a casual conversation months ago, and got me a thoughtful gift related to my work. It was touching but also highlighted everything I've missed out on. That's what led to my current decision. My birthday is coming up in 3 weeks, and instead of waiting for another disappointment, I'm taking control. I've booked a luxury cruise and planned an elaborate celebration. Not just any cruise, I've reserved their premium suite package on one of the most prestigious cruise lines. The itinerary includes exclusive dining experiences, spa treatments, and private shore excursions. I'm inviting all our extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, and my close friends. The guest list is around 50 people, all of whom have actually shown interest in my life and achievements over the years. But here's the kicker, I'm deliberately excluding my immediate family. The invitations have been sent, and I've planned something special. During the main celebration dinner, I'm going to play a slideshow. Not just any slideshow, I've compiled photos and memories from all the birthdays they have forgot, all the achievements they ignored, all the times they made me feel invisible. Each picture will be paired with a corresponding image of how they celebrated Alex or Sophia for similar occasions. It's petty, maybe, but it feels necessary. I've also prepared a presentation about our medical device project. Not to brag, but to show everyone what I've actually accomplished while my family was too busy fawning over Alex's medical career. The device has already been approved for clinical trials, and early results show it could reduce cardiac mortality rates by up to 30%. That's thousands of lives potentially saved. Word got out through the family grapevine, and the reactions have been intense. My Aunt Susan, who's always been more perceptive to the family dynamics, immediately RSVP'd yes, and called to tell me she's proud of me for standing up for myself. Several cousins have also expressed support, saying they've noticed how I've been treated over the years but didn't know how to address it. However, not everyone's been supportive. Some relatives are calling me petty and immature. My mom has been blowing up my phone, leaving voicemails that alternate between guilt-tripping, "How could you do this to your mother? After all we've sacrificed for you," and threats, "You'll regret this behavior, young man." My dad sent his typical passive-aggressive text about how I'm tearing the family apart, creating unnecessary drama. Alex called me childish and suggested I grow up and accept that some people just achieve more in life. Sophia posted a vague aggressive social media status about attention-seeking behavior and toxic siblings who can't handle others' success. But my friends and Stephanie are fully behind me. My best friend from college, who's witnessed my family dynamics for years, said something that really resonated. Sometimes you have to make a grand gesture to break toxic patterns. You've tried talking to them quietly for years, maybe now they'll finally listen. Stephanie has been particularly amazing throughout all this. She's helped me plan every detail of the cruise, from the menu selections to the decorations. She reminded me that this isn't about revenge, it's about finally standing up for myself and refusing to accept the role of the forgotten child anymore. Her support has made me realize how a healthy family dynamic should look. The cruise is booked, the invitations are sent, and there's no turning back now. Most of the guests have already RSVP'd yes, many expressing excitement about both the celebration and what it represents. Some relatives are clearly torn between wanting to support me and fearing the drama it might cause with my parents, but surprisingly, most are choosing to come anyway. I've set up a private Instagram hashtag for the event and started posting teasers about the upcoming celebration. My mom saw these. Despite being blocked, she made a fake account and called my aunt in tears about how I'm publicly humiliating the family. The irony of her suddenly caring about family humiliation after years of publicly dismissing me isn't lost on anyone. I know this might seem extreme to some people. Maybe it is. But after 28 years of being treated like an afterthought, of watching my siblings get celebrated while I'm ignored, of having my achievements dismissed and my feelings invalidated, it feels necessary. This isn't just about a birthday party anymore, it's about taking control of my narrative and showing my family that I refuse to be the invisible middle child any longer. The cruise sets sail in 3 weeks. Part of me is excited about finally celebrating myself properly, but another part is anxious about the fallout. Some friends say I should have just cut contact quietly instead of making a statement, but I feel like I needed to do this, not just for me, but for every middle child who's ever felt forgotten. Am I taking this too far? Should I have chosen a less dramatic way to address this? The cruise is paid for and most guests have confirmed, but I still find myself wondering if I'm burning bridges I might want to cross again someday. Would appreciate any advice, especially from others who've dealt with similar family dynamics. Update 1, it's been 2 weeks since the cruise birthday celebration, and I need to share what happened because things have escalated beyond anything I expected. The cruise itself was incredible. Nearly everyone who RSVP'd showed up, about 45 people in total, including most of our extended family and my close friends. The first night, during the welcome dinner in the ship's premium restaurant, I presented my slideshow. The room fell silent as images played across the screen. Empty chairs at my childhood birthday dinners contrasted with Alex's elaborate celebrations, my ignored academic achievements next to Sophia's celebrated moments. What I hadn't expected was my Aunt Carol breaking down in tears halfway through, saying she had never realized the extent of the disparity. Several other relatives admitted they noticed the unequal treatment but had never understood how systematic it was until seeing it laid out chronologically. The presentation about my medical device project received an overwhelming response. My uncle Robert, who works in hospital administration, actually approached me about potentially implementing our monitoring system at his facility. Funny how my professional achievements suddenly became impressive when validated by others. But here's where things got intense. On the second day of the cruise, my mom somehow convinced the cruise line to let her board at our first port stop. She claimed she was a surprise guest meant to join the party. Security let her through because she had photos of me on her phone and could prove she was my mother. She burst into the middle of our lunch gathering, mascara running, screaming about how I was trying to turn the family against her. After everything we've done for you, she shouted in front of everyone. You ungrateful, spiteful child. Stephanie tried to intervene, but Mom turned on her too, accusing her of poisoning her son against his family. The real shock came when my usually quiet Aunt Margaret stood up and confronted my mother. Helen, she said firmly, we've all watched you favor Alex and Sophia for years. We said nothing because we didn't want to interfere, but this ends now. Several other relatives joined in, sharing their own observations of the unequal treatment they'd witnessed over the years. Mom left in tears, but the drama wasn't over. That evening, Alex and Sophia launched a coordinated social media attack. They posted childhood photos with captions about ungrateful siblings and attention-seeking behavior. But it backfired spectacularly. people started commenting with their own observations of how I'd been treated differently over the years. The cruise continued for 3 more days, and something unexpected happened. Without my immediate family's presence, I discovered what genuine family support feels like. My cousins shared stories of their own struggles with favoritism. Uncle James, who I'd always thought was distant, revealed he'd followed my career through industry newsletters and was genuinely proud of my achievements. When we returned, I found over 30 missed calls from my parents and a lengthy email from my father. For the first time, he actually acknowledged the disparity in how they treated us, but in a way that made it worse. We focused more on Alex because he was following the family medical tradition, and on Sophia because she needed extra support. You were always so independent and capable, we thought you didn't need the attention. The fallout has continued. Yesterday, my mom showed up at my office, causing a scene in the lobby. She demanded to speak to me, telling the security guard I was breaking her heart and destroying our family. My colleagues witnessed the whole thing, and my boss later called me in to check if I was okay. Surprisingly, he shared his own story of breaking free from toxic family dynamics and offered his full support. Stephanie's family has been amazing through all this. Her parents invited me over for dinner last night and told me they consider me part of their family. Her dad even said he wished he'd had the courage to stand up to his own family's favoritism when he was younger. The most unexpected development came from my younger cousins. Several of them have reached out to say that watching me stand up for myself has given them courage to address similar issues in their own family dynamics. My cousin Jenny even used our story in her psychology class presentation about family systems and favoritism. Looking ahead, I've decided to maintain the boundaries I've set. I'm not cutting contact completely, but I'm no longer accepting the role of the forgotten child. I've blocked my siblings on social media and set up email filters for my parents. My new policy is simple: I'll only engage with family members who can treat me with respect and acknowledge their past behavior. Stephanie and I are talking about moving in together, possibly to a new city where her company has an office. The distance might be good, giving everyone time to process and reflect. To everyone who advised me about this situation, thank you. The cruise might have seemed like an extreme gesture, but it forced issues into the open that had been festering for decades. Sometimes you need a big moment to break old patterns. Next update will probably come after my parents' upcoming wedding anniversary event, which I've already decided not to attend. Change is hard, but necessary. Update 2. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I can't believe I'm writing this, but somehow the situation has managed to escalate even further. The biggest news: Stephanie and I are engaged. But what should have been a purely joyous time has turned into another family drama. After the cruise incident, I maintained minimal contact with my immediate family, focusing instead on building my life with Stephanie. The proposal was perfect, during a weekend trip where I was presenting our medical device at a healthcare conference. She's been my rock through all of this family chaos. However, things took an ugly turn during our venue tour last weekend. We were visiting our third potential wedding venue, a beautiful historic building with a garden ceremony space. Halfway through the tour, I heard my mother's voice echoing through the hall. Somehow, they had found out about our venue tour schedule, later discovered my cousin Lauren had accidentally mentioned it in the family group chat. My parents showed up with Alex and Sophia in tow, like some kind of intervention squad. My mother immediately started telling the venue coordinator about her vision for the wedding, completely ignoring both Stephanie and me. When I firmly stated that they weren't invited and needed to leave, my mother burst into tears, creating a scene in front of the venue staff and other couples touring the space. What happened next still feels surreal. Alex, ever the responsible older brother, tried to pull me aside for a family discussion. When I refused, he actually said, "This is what happens when you let the middle child make important decisions." Sophia was filming everything on her phone, presumably for some dramatic social media post. The venue coordinator, bless her heart, immediately recognized the situation and had security escort them out. But not before my mother shouted that she would never forgive this betrayal, and that I was breaking your father's heart all over again. Here's the thing: they didn't just stumble upon us. They had clearly planned this. They had printed photos from my childhood, showing happy family moments they wanted to show the venue staff. My mother had even brought her old wedding album, talking about family traditions we needed to incorporate. After they left, we discovered they had already visited our other two potential venues earlier that week, telling the staff they were the primary decision-makers for the wedding. They had even tried to put down deposits to hold the dates. Stephanie was understandably shaken. Her own family was horrified when they heard what happened. Her father, who's normally very diplomatic, called my father directly to tell him their behavior was unacceptable. This led to another drama when my father accused Stephanie's family of stealing his son. We've since decided to completely change our wedding plans. No venues from our original list. We're now looking at destinations far from our hometown, and we've hired a wedding planner who specializes in dealing with complex family situations. She's implementing strict security measures and a comprehensive guest screening process. The silver lining in all this? Our relationship has only grown stronger. Stephanie and I are more certain than ever that we're making the right decision in starting our life together, away from the toxic family dynamics. I've also received unexpected support from my colleagues. My boss, remembering the previous incident at our office, has authorized additional security measures at work. He's even offered to host our wedding at his vacation property if we want a completely private venue. The hardest part isn't the drama itself, it's realizing that even my wedding day, one of life's most significant moments, is being turned into another battlefield for my family's dysfunction. But this time, I'm not backing down. Stephanie and I deserve our day, our way. We're proceeding with our plans, but with heightened security and a very selective guest list. Our wedding will celebrate love and happiness, not become another stage for family drama. Update 3, it's been 3 months since my last update, and I need to share what happened at our wedding. This will be my final update because, after what transpired, I've made a permanent decision about my family relationships. The wedding day started perfectly. We chose a beautiful private estate 3 states away, hired security, and implemented strict guest screening. Stephanie looked absolutely stunning, and our closest friends and chosen family were there to support us. The morning preparations went smoothly, with Stephanie's family making everyone feel loved and included. However, despite all our precautions, my mother managed to get in. Right as the officiant was about to begin the ceremony, the doors burst open. My mother came charging down the aisle, with my father trailing behind her like a reluctant shadow. What happened next was surreal. Instead of the typical, I object scene, my mother started a full-blown performance about how ungrateful I was. She had printouts of family photos, which she started distributing to shocked guests like some twisted wedding favor. What really crossed the line was when she turned to Stephanie and said, "Good luck with this one. He's been bitter his whole life." But here's where everything changed. Instead of letting this derail our day, I finally found the strength to say everything I'd been holding back. I stepped forward and calmly told my mother, "This isn't about you. It never was. This is about your inability to love your children equally. Today isn't about our past, it's about my future with Stephanie." The security team moved to escort them out, but my mother wasn't finished. She turned to the guests and started revealing personal family details, trying to embarrass me. That's when Stephanie's father stepped in. He stood between my parents and us, and with a quiet authority said, "You've made your point. Now leave my children alone." That word, children, hit hard. In that moment, I realized I had found what I'd been looking for all along, a family that chose to love me. After they were escorted out, something unexpected happened. Several guests, including distant relatives who had witnessed my family's behavior over the years, came forward to share their own observations. My cousin's wife, a family therapist, privately told me that my mother's behavior showed classic signs of narcissistic family dynamics. We continued with the ceremony, and it was beautiful. During the reception, Stephanie's brother gave a toast that moved me to tears. He spoke about how family isn't just about blood, but about people who celebrate your joys and support you through struggles. The next morning, my father called. For the first time in his life, he actually acknowledged their favoritism, but in a way that made everything crystal clear. He said, "We only pushed Alex and Sophia more because you seemed so capable on your own. You have to understand, it was easier to focus on them." That was it. That admission of choosing the easier path rather than being fair parents made my decision final. I'm done trying to understand or fix this relationship. I'm done hoping they'll change or suddenly become the parents I needed. I've officially changed my phone number. Our new home address is unlisted. I've accepted a promotion that puts me in charge of our company's West Coast expansion, meaning we're moving across the country. Stephanie's company has an office there too, and her family has already planned visits. The medical device project continues to save lives. Last week, we received data showing our system has prevented over 200 potential cardiac events. Alex still works at the same hospital that rejected our device implementation proposal, ironic, considering it could have helped his patients. To everyone who has followed my story, thank you. Your support helped me find the strength to stand up for myself and create boundaries. To those dealing with similar family dynamics, you deserve to be celebrated. You deserve to be seen. Sometimes the family you choose is more important than the family you're born into. This will be my last update because there's nothing more to say. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not hurt. I'm just done. My new family, Stephanie, her family, our friends, and the people who genuinely care about us, that's my focus now. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is walk away. It's not about revenge or punishment. It's about choosing peace, choosing joy, and choosing to surround yourself with people who genuinely celebrate your existence.